Hello, compliance officers. Welcome to the Deep Dive with Connected Compliance Institute. Let's unpack this.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into the FATF Implementation Handbook, specifically for fintechs and non-banks. Our mission really is to quickly unpack these global AML and CFT standards. Figure out what they mean for fast-moving digital businesses. And the place to start, the real hook, I think, is this idea of technological neutrality. The FATF standards, they focus on the activity and the risk, not the tech itself. So for fintechs, the message is pretty stark. Innovation doesn't get you a free pass on regulation.
That's exactly right. It's the critical starting point. The FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, sets these global standards. We're talking the 40 recommendations, the technical notes. It's the baseline playbook for protecting the whole international financial system, keeping out illicit money, ML, TF, and PF, money laundering, terrorism financing, proliferation financing.
Okay, so let's get to this blueprint then. If it's activity-based, not tech-based, how does a fintech, maybe a startup, even begin to structure compliance? What's the absolute cornerstone of this whole FATF thing?
It's the risk-based approach, the RBA. And it's not optional, it's fundamental. It basically mandates that firms have to identify, assess, and really understand their own specific money laundering and terrorist financing risks. And then, crucially, apply measures that are actually proportionate to those identified risks.
Proportionate. So it's the opposite of just ticking boxes on a generic list.
Exactly. No one-size-fits-all here. High risk demands strong controls. Lower risk allows for maybe simplified measures. It's about focusing resources effectively.
Okay, so RBA is like a continuous strategy, not just a document you write once.
Yeah.
If you're building this RBA, what are the actual categories of risk you need to assess across the whole company?
Good question. The FATF points to 4 key dimensions. First is customer risk.
Right.
Who are you dealing with? Their location, are they a politically exposed person, PPP status, complex ownership structures, that kind of thing.
Right.
Second, geographic risk. Where are the funds coming from, going to? Certain jurisdictions are inherently higher risk.
Thanks, Seth.
Third, and this is really key for innovative firms, product service risk. Does your product allow for anonymity, high-speed transactions, large volumes, cross-border activity? These features increase risk.
And the fourth?
Delivery channel risk. How do you interact with the customer? For most fintechs, this is almost always high risk because it's non-face-to-face. It's apps, online onboarding, automated processes.
Speed and remote access create inherent risks you have to manage.
Precisely. You need controls specifically for that remote, fast-paced environment.
Okay, this brings us to the really dynamic area. Virtual assets, VAs. How does the FATF apply this RBA thinking there?
Yeah, this is where they've been very clear. They specifically updated Recommendation 15. It explicitly states that virtual asset service providers, VASPs, think exchanges, wallet providers, custodians, they face the exact same AML-CFT duties as traditional banks.
No exceptions just because it's crypto or digital.
None. They must do customer due diligence, ongoing monitoring, report suspicious transactions, the full works.
Wow, okay. And how do they maintain traceability in that digital world?
That brings us to Recommendation 16. You've probably heard of it, the travel rule.
Right, the travel rule.
Well, that's now explicitly extended to VASPs and digital payments, too. It means for transfers above a certain threshold, say $1,000 or euros, the required info about the originator and beneficiary must travel with the transaction.
So maintaining that audit trail digitally.
Exactly. It ensures transparency isn't lost just because the asset is digital.
So pulling this together, the strategic insight here seems to be that FATF regulates at the connection points, the choke points.
That's a good way to put it. The focus is heavily on the intermediaries, the VASP, the payment processor. Any entity that links the digital economy to the traditional fiat financial system, they bear the regulatory load.
They're the gatekeepers, essentially.
Yes. And if we look at the bigger picture, what happens if you ignore this? If you don't get it right?
Well, the consequences aren't just fines, right? It seems systemic.
Absolutely. Reputational damage, loss of licenses, even criminal charges in some cases. It can be catastrophic.
And we've seen real-world examples. You look at OKX, that massive $504 million penalty. Block Inc., facing $40 million. The issues seem to be generic compliance programs, not tailored to the actual risks of their products, especially virtual assets.
Exactly right. Those were failures in assessing product service risk. They chased growth, volume, But their compliance controls didn't keep pace with the specific risks their products created, like speed and potential anonymity. It highlights a cultural issue, too.
A culture where maybe growth overshadowed responsible risk management.
It often seems that way. The firms that succeed long-term, though, they see compliance differently.
How so?
They view it not just as a cost or a barrier, but actually as a strategic asset, something that builds trust and enables sustainable growth.
So the final thought for you listening is this. Take a hard look. Are your business goals, your push for innovation, inadvertently overriding your fundamental risk obligations? Is your RBA truly reflective of your specific business reality? That's probably the most critical question any digital leader needs to answer honestly.